Our next speaker is Paweł Althamer, a legendary artist who is based, who focuses in his work on human spirituality. It may be a specific image or a sculpture, but also social actions, including famous travels in golden outfits, visiting different places in the world, Brussels, Brazil. Paweł is also a creator of a very special place in Warsaw, a sculpture garden in Brudno. He's a person who is also socially involved, so Paweł, please take the floor. So I'll take the mic and just sit down in my armchair. So thank you, Michel, for inviting me. Since the very beginning I have ever heard that you are inventing something, soup for it, I was very happy, because our cooperation stems from this trust and friendship that was created while playing, just like Beuys concept. It would be great if we could do whatever we wish to do, and I derive that joy from my childhood as well. The fact that I've been dubbed an artist, a sculptor, and that I do performances because I work with people is a consequence of whatever I used to do already as a child. So my short speech today I'd like to dedicate to just one topic, that is working with Nowolipie Group. So my work with Nowolipie Group, well, this is a very nice experience here, because my group is now having their classes. So I want to say hello, best regards. Maybe they'll have a chance to hear me. So we've been meeting for 26 years in Warsaw in a small community center in Nowolipie. We sit around the tables just like these ones here. We draw together, we drink teas or coffees. We don't have mics, but we also discuss different problems, often related to art, but also some personal matters. We also discuss different problems. 26 years ago, this group was created as a way for people who were diagnosed with SM. So I'll tell you what that means for me, because how I understand that the world changes the world. In Nowolipie Group, we can hear how people mentioned that it was a turning point for them, that before they had never thought of dealing with art, that they would have their pieces of art exhibited in museums or in galleries, that they would be invited. Well, for me, that was a very interesting situation. I've already been a graduate and had my part of joy, and then I realized that what gives me satisfaction and the chance to express personally is called modern art. So with big joy, I decided that after 2 years, I worked with the so-called young people that I used to prepare for the Academy of Arts. I would become a therapist. There was Joanna Grodzicka, a disabled person, who called me. Now she is our mentor, a magical person. She was healed, so to say, in a magical way, and she took the role of a nun in a closed nunnery. So this group, thanks to her intervention, has been active and meeting for 26 years now, once a week. So what made me switch from this path of pursuing my personal artistic career to this parallel acting without abandoning my personal pursuits, I was really tempted into moving into the unknown. So this is this topic of the unknown and courage. which comes from the freedom that I can pick whatever I want. That's common for artists. So I decided I would follow the unknown and I would become a therapist in an area that was in a field that was totally unknown for me, with people diagnosed with the SM. And so for years we've been gaining trust, building mutual health, liking, and now we operate in an open formula. There are also healthy people from outside joining us, or people who suffer with other diseases, or people who are simply just shy, who would like to experience doing something together, because this is what's at the core of our activity. We are very sensitive to each other, to whatever we can create, and we are just a community. I've never been convinced to this idea of dividing the art into disabled people arts and the so-called para-artistic activities. I've never really felt the difference. I've never really felt that what I do should be divided or is divided from we create together. I think this is also a tradition of a happy childhood where when I could play with anyone, like with you, Michel. It evolves. Everyone who joins our joy, our game, become liberated artists. So it's an individual decision that you decide yourself that you want to join. Whether I am more or less talented, we can simply let go sometimes. This is what we experience in a group. We can let go the concept of quality in categories of competing, that there are worse and better in something. Perhaps that's the case, but those internal conflicts that we experience just stimulate us to spend time together and treat serious matters with humor. Looking at things with empathy to sometimes deadly serious situations. So to have this warmth and smile on your face, and this conviction that we are, despite everything, we are happy at least once a week. We come here on our own free will, not to achieve something, but to be whoever they want to be. And as a group, we also have this special power, just like a burning fire. This is also funny because that's the name that these are national artistic fires in Polish. So just like in the ancient times, people used to meet to dance around the fire, sometimes to cook something or burn a piece of ceramics. So what I've been doing for 26 years, my experience is well-nurtured carelessness, freedom that lets me survive and not get panic in those tumultuous time. We know that once we sit down, we take crayons, paints, sip our tea, and coffee will be able to celebrate our meeting, a very basic practice. Sometimes there are some side effects, so to say, which can sometimes be even called a piece of art, but without getting too deep into some serious ambitions and attempts to build museums. We don't need that. So there is a humorous perception of our meeting that it's some kind of a pseudo-bohemia, a symbolic association of people who would gladly refer to tradition of the so-called ancient artists who like to discuss what we really do, who we are, and sometimes get some surprising conclusions, and also sometimes to find out how different the people sitting around the table are. We overcame some temporary conflicts where people were really bad. Sometimes they had serious problems with their health, with their mental health as well. There are many of us who have already passed away or unable to join us, but this place is still a special place of power where there are new and new other people joining, the so-called others. So this is also a group that promotes a certain method of work through acceptance, through accepting what's there in ourselves. And we can say a group of anonymous artists who would gladly sign as a group and give up their own individual labels for a moment. Just like the badge I have on my neck now, they would be happy to abandon them sometimes, these labels.
Bardzo dziękuję, Paweł, za podzielenie się z
So thank you, Paweł, for sharing your thoughts of spending time with very varied people who see the world in different colors, but also with a different exactness or precision, that you have this chance to experience that on an everyday basis in a big city. I think it's very valuable, and for me personally, if I could comment on what Paweł does, it's not only about saving this childlike thinking. For me, it's about being a shaman of a certain reality. If we are talking about the construct of reality that Michel creates, you are the person who is a shaman who celebrates being together for very varied people. So a big respect to you that you can be with different people in your art in such a deep way. I agree if a shaman is someone who studies. So a student, a perpetual student, so to say, permanent student, I can quote Oskar Hansen and Grzegorz Kowalski, who have a big group of students they are friends with, and they say that they saved my life because I've always felt this huge pressure of the so-called educational system, and very often I thought how I would be able to cope with that, because I was so hungry for creating, and that was blocked by several different activities that were totally not interesting for me, and they saved my life in that. I'm sorry to be forced to say that in a building that is a university. I can understand it very well, so thank you very much now.